Well, here's something totally random. I had a thought, you know, of what's been going on with next gen rumors. Now, this isn't as much a rant as it is a statement and a warning to people that overreact. Now, I am not a reactionary guy. If you've been watching my YouTube channel for the longest, you know that whenever a breaking story breaks out, I'm not the first one to break out the webcam and start talking shit about it. I mean, shoot, that's why you got the idiots in the video game media to do it for you, to overreact to somebody saying, you know, about the always on thing, deal with it. That's why you got the media, that's why you got stupid people on message boards overreacting. And here's my problem with the internet generation. They take any bit of information, even if it's a rumor, and they turn it to truth. Now, there is a saying, in every white lie there is a kernel of truth, and blah, 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 blah. But I generally have a rule on the internet. It is not true until it is officially confirmed. And what I mean is not by any media source, because if you follow Kotaku or any other sites, you know that just because the media reports it does not make it true. Until Microsoft formally announces that this is how it's going to go, and this is this, this is this, whether it's a good thing or a negative thing. Let's not overreact. Let's not be idiots. Let's use our brains and really think about, you know, it's a good topic for discussion, yes, in a talk radio sense. But I would think in this generation that we, the gamers, would be smarter to know, if it's not coming officially from the horse's mouth, not to believe it, and especially with all these next-gen rumors, whether you're PS3 or Xbox. I have a general belief on it that I do not believe about 75% of what I hear. And it is because with the information at hand, you can't make an assumption that it is or is not confirmed. You can't make that assumption. People instantly hear something and they're like, oh no, it's true just because, and you know, a creative director said it, which, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, has resigned and left Microsoft since making the Twitter statements. Just because a creative director says it doesn't mean that it's true. But let's assume that it is. Let's assume that it is true. His statement, although he said it wrong in terms of how he said it, in the context of how he said it, why he said it, the statement itself The statement itself is actually correct. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would the statement be correct? You mean to tell me that when somebody says, deal with it, that's what it is? It's exactly what it is. If it is true that Durango, I would just use its code terminology, if it's true that Durango is always on, guess what, gamers? You're going to have to deal with it, me included. Now, me, I have a setup where it's no problem whatsoever. I'm always on the internet in some way, shape, or form through Xfinity. You know, for me, it's no problem, but I can understand why it would be a problem for some of you out there. You know, having high-speed internet such as myself is a very expensive matter. And it's not an easy matter to maintain. But it doesn't mean get angry at Microsoft. What it means is get angry at your provider. Get angry at whoever you use that will overcharge you to be properly prepared for this. The understanding of the always on is completely okay. And the reason I say that is Xbox Live is its greatest quality, its greatest export. So why are we sitting here thinking about, oh, it's always on, ah, God. If you're an Xbox user, and you're like me, that goes around and uses every physical app he can possibly use to enjoy the experience, wouldn't that always being on not be a problem? It's a matter of preference. But I can guarantee you, for that sacrifice of it's always going to be on, let's say that is true, the sacrifice of that is going to result in us getting better stuff to use, better service, better overall servers, although with each game, because games are carried over through other servers, that quality may vary, but largely on the Microsoft point, we are going to have stronger servers. And here's the kicker that I don't think people are understanding. Sony practically said as much, and they use coded terminology and coded feature terminology to say this. Sony said as much that it is always on. Now, before you go to your computers and gasp for air, like, watch that press conference again. Listen to the terminology that they use when they explain all the PSN features, most importantly, the streaming of games. The fact that they said that says it's always on. Why? Because in order to guarantee service such as that, where it's 100% streaming all the time when you buy games, and you can immediately play them. That's going to take an immediate internet connection. That's going to take a always-on internet connection. For the ability to pass each other's games from one to one if you get stuck, that's going to take an always online internet connection just to run those features. So in order for Sony to execute the things that they said back in March, it's going to take an always on internet connection. Just because Microsoft doesn't come out with a press conference revealing their new console, and just because you hear a CEO over Twitter, which, by the way, this is proof of what Jim Rome says in terms of Twitter. He refers to Twitter, as I quote, as a loaded gun. And that is an apt statement. Twitter is a loaded gun, and when he went to Twitter with the gun cocked, he shot the gun, and he paid the price. He shot himself in the chest, had to resign. The loaded gun misfired and blew his hand off. This statement that he made is not so much about what Microsoft's going to do with the next console. It's more of a statement of what not to say on Twitter, what not to say on Facebook, what not to say over an Xbox Live headset. Because remember, even though you say these things on the internet, you have to be ready to be held accountable for them. And most of the time, we do not have the gun held over our heads when we say something, usually. But sometimes, in very rare situations, we do have the gun over our head. So, the next time you hear a rumor, or the next time you hear something on Twitter, use your research, do your homework, and really think about whether that is true or not. Remember, do not be reactionary, because reactionary usually equals stupid. Instead, do not be reactionary, be smart and be educated instead. Because those that are educated know the truth. Those that react make up the truth. The better suit them. Live life by the code.